Hi, I'm Dr. Francois, anesthesiologist in the live living flesh. So we can address some of the comments that were made on the previous video. A lot of people were upset about the title. Stated that you could make $200K in a job without a 4-year degree. People were calling it clickbait and saying that it's not true. The matter is, I appreciate everybody's comments and people looking it up and checking to see if it was really true and figuring out the details for themselves. Really, I do. I think that's the whole point of it, is to start conversations and get people thinking and considering other options that they may have never thought of before, and to inspire people to pursue these other options. But I'm standing by it. It was not a lie, and it was not clickbait. You do not need a 4-year bachelor's degree. The people calling it a lie are looking at advertised base salaries on a standard, comfortable 35 or 40-hour desk schedule. If you look at a job posting's baseline hourly rate, sure, the national 50th percentile median for a surgical technologist sits around $62,830. But operating rooms do not run on 50th percentile base salaries, and they certainly do not close at 5 o'clock on Friday. Healthcare compensation is driven by total hours worked, shift mechanics, volume demand, and emergency call. When you look at what people actually earn in a hospital based on actual W-2 earnings and the volume of hours they put in, that $200,000 figure is completely real, completely documented, and happening every single day. Let's clear up the credential distinctions first. An anesthesiologist assistant, an AA, does average $247,000 a year, but they hold a master's degree. An anesthesia tech earns around $55,000 to $60,000. A surgical technologist, the person scrubbing into cases and managing the sterile field, starts with a certificate or a 2-year associate's degree. No 4-year degree required. So how is a $200,000 income not a lie for someone with a certificate? Because income in a hospital is a direct function of hours and shift mechanics, not just your base posting wage. Before we look at how those hours stack up, let's look at what 2-year degrees pay on a standard 40-hour schedule without picking up crazy extra hours. According to May 2024 Bureau of Labor Statistics data, radiation therapists deliver calculated radiation doses to cancer patients with a national median salary of $101,990 on standard hours. Nuclear medicine technologists prepare and administer radioactive drugs. Associate's degree, $97,020 median, with top 10th percentile earners making over $128,090. Diagnostic medical sonographers, ultrasound techs hold an associate's degree with a median income of $89,340 and top 10th percentile earners reaching $123,170. Those are standard 40-hour community college jobs clearing 6 figures. Now let's talk about how a surgical tech actually reaches $200,000 by working the hours that hospitals desperately need covered. It comes down to 4 specific operational mechanics: high market base rates, shift differentials, daily overtime rules, and emergency call volume. First, geography and baseline market rates. In major health systems across Northern California, like Sutter Health and Kaiser Permanente, live postings for staff CVOR surgical techs list base hourly ranges between $43 and $59 an hour. At a $50 an hour base on a standard 2,000-hour schedule, your baseline is already $100,000 before working a single minute of overtime or call. Second, shift differentials. Working night or weekend shifts adds an hourly premium, typically $5 to $7 an hour. Under federal labor law, specifically Fair Labor Standards Act, fact sheet number 54, that shift differential must be legally folded into your regular rate before calculating overtime. If your base is $50 and your differential is $6, your regular rate becomes $56. That artificially inflates the value of every single overtime hour worked that week to $84 an hour. Third, the hospital 8 and 80 rule. Under FLSA Section 7J, hospitals are legally allowed to calculate overtime after 8 hours worked in a single day rather than 40 hours in a week. On a standard 12-hour surgical shift, 4 hours of every single shift are automatically paid at time and a half. Add 12 hours of weekly, daily overtime to that base, and your income jumps to $152,300. If you're watching this and wondering how you actually break into this field, let's lay out the exact step-by-step roadmap to becoming a certified surgical technologist, including what programs exist across the country. Step 1. Choose the right educational pathway. You do not need a 4-year bachelor's degree. You have 2 main options: a certificate or diploma program, which takes between 9 and 15 months, or an Associate of Applied Science degree, which takes 18 to 24 months. Both pathways get you into the operating room, but an associate's degree often gives you higher starting pay and better long-term mobility into leadership or surgical assisting. Step 2. Make sure your program is accredited. This is the single biggest trap prospective students fall into. Your program must be accredited by either CAAHEP, pronounced CAHEP, the Commission on Accreditation of Allied Health Education Programs, or ABHES, pronounced ABHES, the Accrediting Bureau of Health Education Schools. If your school is not accredited by one of these 2 bodies, major hospital systems will not hire you, and you will be ineligible to take the national certification exam. These accredited programs are widely available in every region of the United States, typically hosted through local community colleges, vocational institutes, and university health systems. In the West, major health systems partner with institutions like the College of Western Idaho, San Juan College in New Mexico, and community college districts across California and Washington. In the Midwest, programs like the College of DuPage in Illinois, the Mayo Clinic School of Health Sciences in Minnesota, and Cincinnati Claremont College in Ohio offer premier clinical pipelines. In the South and East, community college networks like Calhoun Community College in Alabama, Fayetteville Tech in North Carolina, and Gulf Coast State College in Florida feed directly into regional trauma centers. Step 3. Complete your clinical rotations. During your program, you will complete roughly 120 documented surgical cases across various specialties, from orthopedics and general surgery to neurosurgery. Treat these clinical rotations like an extended job interview because most students are hired by their clinical sites before they even graduate. Step 4. Get certified. Upon graduation, you sit for the Certified Surgical Technologist exam administered by the NBSTSA, the National Board of Surgical Technology and Surgical Assisting. Passing this exam gives you the CST credential, which is required by law or hospital policy in almost every major health system in the country. Step 5. Specialization and strategic positioning. Once you have 1 to 2 years of core operating room experience, you specialize in high acuity suites like open heart CVOR cardiac surgery or neurosurgery, or transition into travel contracting. That is the exact step where you unlock the top tier hourly rates, callback premiums, and the 6-figure potential we just broke down. I've laid out all the links, accredited program finders, and government sources mentioned in this video in the description below, so you can look up programs in your area right now. 4th, emergency call volume. Trauma cases, emergency C-sections, and ruptured aneurysms happen at 2 in the morning. Hospitals pay techs standby money just to carry the phone, typically $4 to $6 an hour just to sit at home. And when they get called in, those hours are guaranteed at time and a half on top of their elevated rate, often with a 2 to 4 hour minimum payout per call in. Adding a heavy call schedule of 16 call hours a week brings the annual income to $188,500. If that technician specializes in cardiac surgery, the CVOR heart room, where base rates sit at the top of the pay band and emergency call is constant, picking up 20 hours of weekly overtime and callback pushes, total W-2 compensation to over $242,000. Or look at travel surgical techs in specialized fields like CVOR. According to live marketplace data from Vivian Health and AMN Healthcare, weekly travel packages average $2,253 a week. with top-tier, high-volume assignments in California and New York reaching over $3,300 a week. That is an annualized pace of over $172,000 on contracts alone, doubling staff pay simply by choosing mobility. So no, calling it a $200,000 job was not a lie. It is a simple equation of hours worked versus advertised baseline salary. It requires working roughly 2,800 hours a year, about 900 hours more than a standard full-time job. A lot of people outside of healthcare think working those kinds of hours is impossible, but a lot of people in healthcare aren't afraid of those extra hours. They are young, driven, or paying off debt, and they intentionally chase call shifts and volume overtime to maximize their income without taking on 6 figures of student loans. When you measure a job by what you can actually earn through volume and hours worked, the number is 100% real. Let's break down the exact math and volume metrics behind how these operating room hours accumulate into a $200,000 income and why health systems rely so heavily on this structure. A standard full-time work year consists of 1,920 hours based on 40 hours a week for 48 weeks. To reach $135,000 as a surgical technologist, an individual works approximately 2,496 hours annually, averaging 48 hours per week. To reach $180,000, that total rises to 2,688 hours annually, averaging 52 hours per week with regular call-in shifts. And to reach $242,000 in a specialized cardiac suite, the workload totals approximately 2,880 hours per year, averaging 55 to 60 hours per week under high-rate emergency call conditions. That represents 24 additional 40-hour work weeks worked within a single calendar year. Hospitals depend on this overtime model because maintaining full-time, round-the-clock shift staffing for unpredictable surgical emergencies is far less cost-effective than offering voluntary call premiums to existing certified staff. For a hospital, paying an experienced tech $85 an hour on callback is vastly cheaper than losing a $50,000 cardiac surgical case because an operating room sat unstaffed. For many healthcare workers entering the field with a certificate or associate's degree, this volume-based trade-off provides an immediate legal path to 6-figure earnings without the long-term financial burden of medical school debt. Whether you choose a balanced 40-hour role like radiation therapy or choose to maximize your earning potential through surgical call shifts, the operating room offers career pathways that remain largely unknown outside the hospital system. Tell us in the comments how your facility handles call and overtime, and let us know which specialized operating room role you want us to cover next.